back live in Rupp Arena, where the top-ranked Kentucky Wildcats pulled one out at the buzzer on the tip-in by Cedric Jenkins, 76-75 this afternoon, in a game you just saw on CBS and TV 11 against the University of Louisville basketball Cardinals. Jenkins' only point of the basketball game, points, I should say, were those that tied it and those that won it at the buzzer. And, Bill, 23,000 fans here and millions watching nationwide saw something good today out of the Louisville Cardinals, despite the fact they did not win the game.
Great win for Kentucky, Dave, but just a tremendous effort by the University of Louisville. I think this is the best game Louisville's played since they beat Duke for the national championship. This is the kind of effort that Louisville fans have been looking for over a season now. And I think it's a great tribute to the Louisville team and to the coaching job that Denny Crum did. Playing his own defense, Denny Crum really did a tremendous job getting this team prepared to come in here and play Kentucky.
As far as Kentucky is concerned, they earned the #1 ranking in college basketball. Did you think they were mentally prepared as much as they were against Indiana a week ago? I didn't think they had quite as much intensity in the eyes.
I thought they did in the first half, but then when they got the 16-point lead, for whatever reason, they kind of went a little flat and they got a little tentative. That was unlike Kentucky, instead of just taking it and blowing it on out. But Louisville had a lot to do with that. Louisville really hung tough. They came back in there. Great job by Purvis Ellison and Herbert Crook inside. I think a very encouraging performance by Louisville. It really bodes well, I think, for the rest of the season, Dave.
Herbert Crook with 24 points this afternoon. Purvis Ellison had 20. As far as the victorious Kentucky Wildcats this afternoon, Rex Chapman, the sophomore out of Owensboro, led the way with 21. Ed Davender had 20, and the man, and Winston Bennett, the Warrior, a forward, the senior out of Male, had 14 points, but the hero of the game was certainly Cedric Jenkins, who had a fabulous game against Indiana a week ago, hit every shot that he took, and then today scores only one basket, but it was the one at the buzzer to beat Louisville.
He did one other thing that we learned today, Dave, is that Bennett's going to have to stay out of foul trouble if he's going to help Kentucky. He fouled out against Indiana. He was in foul trouble again today, and Winston's a very aggressive player, but he's going to have to curtail that to really give Kentucky the kind of help he can give the rest of the year.
All right, Bill, thanks for joining us live here in Rupp Arena. Immediately after the basketball game, it was an exciting game, and I'm sure they're still excited back in Louisville, where we locate Terry Miners about now.
Thank you very much, David. Thank you very much. We're going crazy here. We're on Bardstown Road at Players Sports Bar and Grill. With me, one of my comrades on the radio, Coyote Calhoun, the program director of WAMZ and an avid basketball fan. What did you think, Coyote?
I think this was the best game they played so far in the series. Of course, I was for U of L, but again, hey, we have nothing to be ashamed of at all, man. This was went down the wire.
Good ball game. Thanks. You too. What's your name?
Pam Robbins.
What was your impression of the ball game?
Well, I'm a diehard U of L fan, but I think all in all it was great. At least we beat the spread, and it was very close for the #1 team.
That's right. I think there are a lot of disgruntled bettors who are probably scrambling for their checkbooks right now because the spread was considerably higher than obviously the outcome of the ball game. I do have a UK fan who's always ready for any ball game, regardless of whether the opponent is U of L. What's your name?
All right, Chris.
Chris? Kentucky beat U of L. Now, Chris has one of these shirts that can be put to use week after week after week because he peels the name of the opponent off and inserts name of the next victim right in there, too. That's nice, and it saves you a lot of money on buying a shirt every week, right?
A lot cheaper, but this one's the best.
What do you think about that? Is that #1 ranking going to stay put?
NCAA will be #1.
All right.
All the way to Kansas State.
Dave, I'm going to be pushed right out of here and onto the roadway. We want to say goodbye to everybody who came by, and I think a couple of people had a good time today. With the live-action cam on Bardstown Road, I'm Terry Miners.
And I'm Dave Conrad, back live in Rupp Arena. We're expecting some of the Louisville Cardinal and the Kentucky Wildcats players to join us. Please stay with us. Our live coverage continues of the great Kentucky matchup. That's the way it turned out this afternoon. Kentucky victorious, as you saw, 76-75 over Louisville. Back in a minute, live from Lexington. Over the Louisville Cardinals, and we're expecting some of the Cardinals and the Wildcats to come out and join us and talk about this game. With me is Billy Packer, the color analyst for college basketball for CBS. He just telecast the game, as you know, on WHAS TV 11. Billy, a vastly improved Louisville team just in the second half this afternoon against Kentucky, and they had to be to even make a game of it.
Well, I would like to have been in the locker room. Denny has got a tremendous ability to be patient with a team.
if it was me, I'd be going crazy, wondering when they're going to settle into some semblance of an offense, and to understand that it's a team game. And I'm not saying the guys are selfish; they just didn't have the concept of a team game. All of a sudden, we saw a different team in the second half, one that was patient, that looked to go inside, do the things that Louisville basketball is known for, and they played very, very well.
Billy, as far as Kentucky is concerned, they came into this basketball game expecting to win, the number one ranked team in college basketball. And teams that have the seniors, the leadership, the confidence, have ways to pull out basketball games, don't they?
Well, they do, and of course that's one of the reasons why I think Kentucky starts out this season in the premier position, and they go to the bench with good quality guys. You bring a Richard Madison in the ball game that's played an awful lot of basketball here, and of course with Winston Bennett coming back, you have a fifth-year senior. It's all of a sudden you get that small play, you need that experience, and those guys always come to the front.
And they came today on behalf of CBS. They came to the front to make a good game for you guys.
Well, it certainly helped us a great deal, and we appreciate it.
Billy, I'm sure you have a plane to catch. I appreciate you joining us.
Thank you very
much.
Billy
Packer, the color analyst for CBS, and he covered this afternoon's game here in Rupp Arena. It was exciting, and to prove it, we have some highlights for you. Gary Montgomery is going to tell us about this basketball game.
Winston Bennett kept Kentucky moving early, scoring 6 of the Cats' first 8 points. And the game was close early through the first 10 minutes. Here's Louisville's first 3 of the season from the freshman, Bradford Smith. The second 10 minutes belonged to the Wildcats. They made a big spurt. Here comes Derek Miller following his missed 3-pointer, and the Cats are off on a run. Eric Manuel came off the bench for 2 quick hoops in this stretch, and Ed Davender decided to pull up and shoot the 3-pointer as Kentucky raced to a 10-point lead. Eddie Sutton had his Cats moving, and here comes Rex Chapman late in the half with the steal and the slam. Kentucky is up by 18 points. Only Kenny Payne's NBA 3-pointer closed the margin at the halftime, down to 15. So Louisville went to the locker room to regroup and decide how to make up those 15 points. Well, the Cardinals did it by going to the inside. They trimmed it down to a 5-point advantage. 3 minutes to go, then off the steal, Herbert Crook connects, and it's a 3-point game. Louisville was ready for more stealing. Ed Davender underneath, nowhere to go with it. It's stolen again, and Kenny Payne puts in the hoop, and it's a 1-point game. Well, after another steal, Kenny Payne is camped out outside that 3-point line, and here it goes, the one to put Louisville in the lead, 72-70. And it's tight the rest of the way. I mean, close all the way. It's a nail-biter. Here comes the game winner. Louisville is leading by 1. Davender takes the shot. The clock is ticking down. Tip no good. But Cedric Jenkins finally gets it to go. And Kentucky comes from behind, top ranked, to beat Louisville 76-75. But the Cardinals get their respect.
All right, thank you very much, Gary. Joining me is Wade Houston, assistant basketball coach at the University of Louisville. A heartbreaking defeat for the Cardinals, lost at the final buzzer today on the tip-in by Cedric Jenkins. Wade, what's the mood in the locker room right now?
The players are very depressed about the loss. We're impressed with them as to how they played and how they fought back from being 16 points down. And we just think that there are a few fundamentals that we need to work on, like blocking out and some other things in our offense, and we've got a chance to be a good ball club by the end of the year.
You guys found a basketball team today, didn't you? But you
so.
guys knew it was always there. Perhaps the fans didn't.
I think so. I think if the players play as they played today, then the fans will be proud of them. We're very proud of them, although we came up 1 point short. But some of those will fall for us before the season's over.
Herbert Crook and Purvis Ellison came through as world beaters today. As you expected, you got 9 points out of Bradford Smith, the freshman. He's growing too, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so. And we had good overall team play. Kenny Payne hit some good shots for us, and Bradford and Keith ran the offense. So we were very proud of the team as an overall effort.
Tough to beat the Wildcats any place, isn't it? Man, they're loaded with talent.
They're a very good team.
All right, Wade, thank you very much. Wade Houston, assistant basketball coach at the University of Louisville. And the final score this afternoon, as you all know, 76-75, Kentucky over the Louisville Cardinals. Back with our coverage live in Rupp Arena in a minute. Game in Rupp Arena this afternoon, 23,000 plus on hand, in a game you saw just a few minutes ago on WHAS TV 11. Let's check out the individual statistics for you as far as the University of Kentucky Wildcats. Victorious this afternoon by 1 point against Louisville. Rex Chapman, the super sophomore out of Owensboro Apollo High School, starred for Kentucky as usual, 21 points and 2 rebounds. And one of those rebounds came after the missed free throw down at the Kentucky end of the floor late in the basketball game, and it was a huge rebound for the Wildcats. Ed Daventer with 22 points and 2 rebounds, and Winston Bennett, the senior out of Mayo High School, 14 points and 5 rebounds. As far as the University of Louisville is concerned, Herb Crook and Purvis Ellison, the only Cardinals in double figures. Herbert Crook with 24 points and 7 rebounds, and Purvis Ellison had 20 points and 11 rebounds, and LeBradford Smith, the freshman, with 9 points and 4 rebounds. He fouled out relatively late in the basketball game. Joining me is Action 11's Earl Cox. Let's talk about this basketball game. At one time, Earl, Kentucky was up by 16, and it appeared that we were on the verge of something from last season in Freedom Hall.
Well, Denny Crum proved he can coach again, as if no one should ever doubt him. The kids, I think the Cardinals' pride was hurt, Dave, and they played better. They just played better. They had to play better.
Well, they came together, especially in the second half. The opening 5 minutes of the second half, they were almost flawless offensively. They did make a few more than a few turnovers in the first half, but they protected the ball in the second half, Earl.
But the effort was what impressed me. It was embarrassing last week, Dave, at Indianapolis, but the Cardinals played hard. And that's all Coach Crum ever asked.
Can't ask for
more
than that.
Play hard, that's right. And they did, and he ought to be proud of them.
I would imagine that he is. I see a Kentucky Wildcat headed our way, so
we're going to get him up here.
Winston Bennett is on his way over here right now. He had 14 points and 5 rebounds this afternoon. And hi, Winston.
How you doing?
Congratulations.
Thanks,
being the senior, one of the seniors on this basketball team, the last go-round for you against the University of Louisville, and Louisville being your hometown, I know you wanted this basketball game a great deal.
Yes, I really did. Anytime we play against the Louisville Cardinals, it gives me just a little bit more incentive to come out and try to play well and really contribute to the ball club. Louisville did an excellent job this afternoon and really rebounding from the Notre Dame game and really doing a great job of representing the institution.
Well, I tell you, the millions of people nationwide that want to thank all of you Wildcats and all the Cardinals for making it a great basketball game. It was exciting for everyone.
Yeah, it really was, and I think it was a lot like those 2 games that was played in Indianapolis, the same type of atmosphere that was here. The crowd was electrifying, and both teams really came out and displayed and just had a great game.
Winston, let's set the stage with the final seconds running down on the clock. Kentucky, you all going for the game-winning shot, a shot that was missed, tipped several times. Cedric Jenkins finally tips it in. Where were you at that time? What do you recall?
Well, I was over there on the side of the bench watching the whole situation, and before the guys went out on the court, I told them that this is Rupp Arena. We don't lose here in Rupp Arena. You just have to believe some way we'll pull it out. And we went out and tried to run a play, and ideally the ball was supposed to go to Rex, but we couldn't get him the ball. Louisville did an excellent job of denying him the ball, so Ed took it to the baseline. 2 guys jumped out on him, and Cedric just so happens was able to get a hand on the ball twice, and on that second time, it fell through for us.
Is Cedric able to talk yet, or is he still excited back in the locker room?
Well, he's doing a lot of talking right now.
You can't shut him up now, right?
No.
Winston, it must have just pained you awful to have fouled out in this game and not be there at the final buzzer.
It really did. I was real disappointed about fouling the Indiana game, and I really came into this game determined to try to stay away from foul trouble, but you know, the adrenaline is just so high when you're playing in a game like this, and sometimes you go out and make some foolish fouls, and I happen to do that again tonight. So hopefully with every game, I can work on that and try to get better.
All right, Winston, thanks for coming on with us. We're going back live to Louisville. I appreciate you being here.
All right,
be careful when you step down, all right?
You.
Still nursing that knee. I want him to stay healthy. Winston Bennett, senior, 14 points this afternoon, but he had to be on the bench, as he mentioned, having fouled out of the game when the Wildcats won the game at the buzzer on the tip-in by Cedric Jenkins. More players are coming up live from Rupp Arena. We'll be right back. Victoria's Kentucky Wildcats, the super sophomore from Owensboro, Rex Chapman. Rex, you had 21 points this afternoon. Probably the most electric moment for you, besides, of course, the winning shot, was when you grabbed that rebound after the missed free throw and came out of there and said, we are not going to lose in Rupp Arena.
Well, you know, that's a free throw play we run, and I had kind of been not going as hard as I should have been early in the game. Herb didn't think I was going to go very hard, and I think he didn't block me out as well as he should have. I went in there and got it. Fortunately, I drew the foul, and then I made one and missed one. Right. But you know, that was a big play, and I'm just fortunate it came off where I was.
All right, let's talk about the final seconds of the basketball game. Set the stage for us. Where you understand you were supposed to get the basketball, but Louisville denied you the basketball. That was smart defense.
Well, we were supposed to run a play where I was going to come across, and we were going to send a decoy under the basket. After I picked the man, I was going to come off a double screen, which I did. I was open, but they had trapped Eddie where he couldn't see me. So when he shot it, I thought it was in. I just thought it was going. And when it missed, I kept looking at the clock. They kept tipping it, and I saw about 1 second on the clock said tipped it in. I heard the horn go off. It was just unbelievable.
What were you thinking about that time?
I couldn't believe it. I was just so overjoyed that we won the game, but I was so mad at us for getting ourselves in that bind. I could have just yelled.
Was there a point, and this is always difficult on teams that are supposed to win basketball games, was there ever a point this afternoon for the Wildcats that you were playing not to lose instead of to win?
As a matter of fact, I think we were. We had come out, they had jumped on us second half. We had come out with very little intensity. And I started thinking, they were pressing. We came out pressing at the beginning of the game. Right. They started pressing. We started sagging back, and they had just made us. They had just turned the game around on us, where we were playing.
We were playing defense. Yeah, they were very aggressive.
We weren't playing aggressive at all, and you got to credit Louisville for that.
Thanks for the great game.
All right, thanks.
On behalf of the millions of fans nationwide who saw it, and for all the Louisville and Kentucky fans here, you guys sure did make it exciting, perhaps a little bit more exciting than you wanted, right?
Thanks a lot.
All right, Rex Chapman, thank you very much. One of the heroes this afternoon for Kentucky, of course, the hero who's still receiving all the accolades, I'm sure, and still talking about it back in the Kentucky locker room, is Cedric Jenkins, who tipped in the game winner at the buzzer as the Wildcats, number one in the nation, defeated the Louisville Cardinals this afternoon. The final was 76-75. And later on, Action 11 News, of course, you'll be hearing from all of the Cardinals and the Wildcats who participated in this exciting game this afternoon. That wraps it up. Live from Rupp Arena in Lexington. Thanks for being with us. Kentucky victorious this afternoon. What a great, exciting basketball game. Live from Lexington, I'm Dave Conrad.
The Eddie Sutton Show with Rob Bromley. Brought to you in part by Ashland Oil, Valvoline Oil Company, Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kentucky, the one you've always trusted for quality health care protection. Coca-Cola. In Kentucky, there are two great traditions, Coca-Cola Classic and the Cats. Golden Flake Snack Foods, one taste and you're stuck on Golden Flake. And by GTE.
The Coach Eddie Sutton Show, brought to you by First National Bank of Louisville, where you'll find the UK Visa and MasterCard. And by Hardee's, we're out to win you over.
We are only in about the second week of the college basketball season, but Kentucky fans have already had to go through a couple of absolute heart stoppers. 1 week ago in the Big Four Classic, it was Indiana up in Indianapolis. Yesterday, it was the Louisville Cardinals at Rupp Arena. And, Coach, thank goodness for the long arms of Cedric Jenkins. He took that one in. You beat the Cards by one.
I think Cedric would like to play every Saturday because he's Saturday's hero. Last week, he was the big man when we defeated the Hoosiers, and yesterday he only scored one field goal, but he had 11 rebounds, but the basket he scored was the one that won the basketball game with a couple of ticks left on the clock. And a great basketball game for the Cats, and a wonderful thing to happen for our great fans and for our basketball team.
Both teams, Eddie, played hard. You got to give both teams a lot of credit.
Well, I think even in defeat, the Cardinals have to be proud of themselves because they certainly displayed a lot of character in fighting back. We had them down 45 to 30 or 29 with less than a minute to go, and it looked like it could be a blowout. And they hit a shot just before the buzzer went off to sound intermission, a three-pointer by Payne, and that brought it to 45-32. And I'm going to throw away my halftime speech. I'm not going to use that one anymore. And last year, we had about a 10-point lead in Louisville when we did break the ball game wide open. I think we had like a 15-2 run at the beginning of the second half in that contest. Yesterday, I kept telling our team, they're not going to roll over and play dead. After all of the build-up, last week they didn't play well. Last year, after we had just destroyed them, I said, this group of athletes is going to fight back, so you better go out there at the beginning of the second half and assert yourself there and control the game. And we went out, and I thought rushed a couple of shots on our first two possessions, and they did fight back, and it was a great college game, and I know CBS liked it. But our team also displayed a lot of character. A team with less heart would not have been able to rally like we did and win the basketball game, and that's the bottom line. At the end of the year and in years to come, they'll talk about that ball game, and we came out on top, and I'm very proud of our basketball team.
Well, we're going to take a look at all the highlights of yesterday's game in just a moment, but right now we'd like to take a look at that special pregame ceremony as Dan Issel had his jersey retired, number 44, Athletics Director Cliff Hagan along with Issel right there at center court, Eddie, and Kentucky's all-time leading scorer and leading rebounder.
Not only a great player, but a great person. I'd never met Dan until I came to Kentucky and have become good friends with him, and just a marvelous person.
Well, it was 2,138 points and 1,078 rebounds. Number 44, he will long be remembered. We'll be back in a moment. We've got the highlights of the ball game coming up next, so stay with us. All right, let's get right to the highlights now, and we pick up the action in the first half as Winston Bennett, coach, came out and I think scored like 9 of your first 13 points.
He was smoking. I tell you, he came off. They had really concentrated their defense on Chapman and Davner, and they left Winston open. He seized that opportunity. They were pressing. We broke the press. Ed just drove right through them to hit that basket. We did not have any problems with their press until the last 3 minutes, and we'll talk about that later.
Now, here again, you break the press, and Davender comes right down, hits the short jumper. Right at that point, the ball game was tied at 17. Eric Manuel comes off the bench. He had a couple of big jumpers.
Had 8 points in the first half and played very well and continues to improve with each game. He's going to be a great basketball player for us.
That puts you up 23-19. Here is a steal. Ed going down, getting a three-point play. And at this point, Eddie, you're starting to pull away. That puts you up by 8.
We did not shoot very well in this ball game, Rob. We only shot 42%. They shot 48%. Both teams shot well at the line. They had 80%, and we hit 75%. Great play by Davner. Our defense got us the ball. We had a lot of steals, and there's one of them. Rex Chapman ran through a pass, finishes off with a dunk, and we did have a lot of momentum at this point and really looked like we were going to go into halftime with a sizable lead, which we did. 13 points is a lot of points, and there's 45-29, 16 points, and they come back and they hold the ball for one shot, and Kenny Payne drills one from downtown.
That's some jumper. Three-pointer, and that was halftime. It was 45-32 as you went to the locker rooms, and you already said what you're going to do with that halftime.
Well, you never, that's the reason they play 2 halves and 40 minutes of basketball, because you never secure today, especially with a three-point shot. Good backdoor move. Ellison converts a nice pass on a dunk shot.
And they're back to within 6 at that point. It was 56-50, and you get a goaltend there. LaRon Ellis with a great stuff, but the goaltending call puts you back up by 8, 58-50.
Rex scored the basket on a good feed by Manuel. Baby hook, we call it a baby hook, a jump hook by LaRon Ellis. He had been ill the last 2 days before this ball game. We didn't think he'd play, but he did play. Horrible call by the official. He calls blocking, and you can see LaRon overreacted a little bit there, and I called him over and told him, "Now, we can't have that. We don't want you to get a bad reputation," but you can see in slow motion. We can talk about that also, or we can talk about it right now. Anytime a player leaves his feet and he's airborne, a player on the defense cannot move under him, and that's exactly what happened.
The shot there by Herbert Crook, and suddenly Louisville is back to within 1 point. It is 60-59. And when LeBradford Smith came down and hit, it was tied at 65. 4:50 left.
They shot 64% in the second half, and our defense wasn't that poor. They just hit some great shots.
Now, Winston put you back up by 5, Coach, and at that point, you seemed to have yourself righted.
It looked like we had the game under control again, and with less than 3 minutes to go, we're ahead 70-65, and within 25 seconds, they score 7 points. And it was very good on their part, the press, but it was very poor on our part, and we were just careless. Rex threw a floater. It was intercepted by Crook. There, Eddie gets 2 times underneath the basket. They steal the ball, strip him of the basketball. We throw it back in, and Winston makes a bad pass here, tries to throw one up the floor, and very alertly, Ellison picks it off. And Payne will hit a 3-pointer from the left corner, and all of a sudden the score is 72-70.
That's a quick 7 points as Louisville on the 3-pointer goes up by 2 right there.
We only had 11 turnovers in the game, but 3 of them were very, very costly at this point, and that's one thing hopefully we learned. And many times when you learn valuable lessons to still win, great hustle play by Chapman on a missed free throw by Locke.
And as it turned out, Rex went to the line, hit a free throw, and you went back up by 1.
Rex almost makes the steal here in Louisville, very poised. Good shot by Ellison. He had 20 points in the game. Crook led him with 24. Rex had 21 for our ball club. Eddie had 20, and Winston had 14. And you can see we call this 3-box. We try to screen away and then doubles down on Rex. Rex is wide open. You can see at the top of the circle, but Ed couldn't get him the basketball. He took a good shot. We felt like he got fouled in the play. The official didn't call it. And we had told Rob and Cedric to crash the glass, and Cedric did that. I thought yesterday that Rob got a hand on the ball, but he didn't. Both tips were by Cedric. You see him come down the lane there. He's wide open. He misses the first one. He gets the second one. And one of the big baskets, I guess, that Kentucky's hit late like that in a long time.
There's your bench, Coach.
And you can see the anticipation. Now watch the bench all of a sudden when it goes in. Nothing like winning, Rob, I'll tell you that.
Well, Eddie, you have to give your team a lot of credit. When they fell behind there, I suppose at a point they could have given up, but they did not. They hung in. They won the basketball game in the final second.
What I started to say, many times if you can win, even when you're not on top of your game or when you can rally after losing a sizable lead and you can do it without losing, then your ball club is going to grow, and you need a lot of breaks like that in a season in order to have a great record. And I was very pleased the way our team did fight back in that last few seconds, because a team with a smaller Valentine, I should say, hey, they wouldn't have won. And these guys have a lot of character, and I'm very proud of them.
All right, it was Kentucky 76, Louisville 75 on the tip-in by senior Cedric Jenkins. We'll have some post-game comments for you and a lot more coming up, so stay with us. We'll be right back after this. And we've got some post-game reaction now, and no better place to start in the interview room but with the big hero, Cedric Jenkins, who tapped in that winning shot.
I just crashed the board. It was an open lane, and I just went ahead and tipped it in.
Did you get 2 tips in the ball, or was someone else hit it the first time?
Well, it was 2 people. I hit it one time, and somebody else hit it along with me, and it came back, and I was right back up there waiting on it.
We just didn't do our job. We just didn't screen off, and we weren't in a, whatever happened. If the ball bounces the other side of the basket, we get it. It just happened to bounce for them. And that's the breaks in basketball. Sometimes the ball bounces for you, sometimes it doesn't.
Like the last 2 minutes of the game, when the game was real tight, Coach Sutton and the rest of the coaches, they always tell you, you guys are going to win. So don't get your head down. Something's good going to happen to you. And, it seems like it always happens when they tell us that.
Our kids can't play any better. We might eliminate a few mistakes down the road. I hope we can, but we played awfully well. And I was tickled to death the way we played.
Oh, yeah. All right, Denny Crum, and well-spoken as his team goes back to work against Cleveland State and then Indiana later in the week. But that comment by Ed Davender, Coach, and you have won the close ones in the time you've been here at Kentucky. You look back 2 years ago, the games that Roger Harden won, the 3 or 4 ball games last year that were pulled out. You're winning the close ones.
Well, I think it's a trait of a good basketball team, and it begins on a practice court. We practice last-second situations, and the one thing that our coaching staff always has done, and we won a lot of close ones when I was at Arkansas, we always tell our players, hey, something good is going to happen. Someone's going to step forward and make a big-time play for us. We're going to win. Our staff is always telling the team, we're not going to let you lose. We're going to be over here trying to make the right decisions. You execute the play, and we will win. And I think being very positive is very important in being able to win.
Of course, yesterday's ball game was broadcast around the nation by CBS Sports. And on hand, Brent Musburger and Billy Packer. Dave Baker had a chance to talk with both of them. Most people ask how far a team can go, but Dave started out by asking Billy Packer what might keep the Cats from Kansas City.
I really think that normal progression on the part of all the top teams in the country puts maybe as many as a dozen or 15 teams in a position to get into the Sweet 16, logically to get in there without any major upset. And at that point, it's a matter of what are you doing tonight? I think it's a great situation in the fact that there are going to be a lot of people come March that really have a realistic shot at winning the national championship, not by playing over their head or having phenomenal success, but playing good, solid basketball. And I'll be shocked if Kentucky's not one of them.
And I knew coming into the season that this was going to be a real top-flight team. I mean, this Kentucky team's got a chance to win a championship. They're saying that this is a wide-open year, and I never believe all that stuff because I always think that there's a dozen or 15 teams that you can hone in on it, and you figure they've got the ingredients. It starts with coaching, and then they got the athletes to go with it, and they can win it. And I happen to strongly believe that Kentucky has a real good chance to get to Kansas City. He has everything this year that you'd want in a team, including top-flight freshmen who don't have to play right now.
A lot of people like to talk about who's the best and everything, and that's the case around here. Is this the best backcourt in the country, though?
Of people that I've seen going into this season, Kentucky's backcourt, in my opinion, is the best backcourt. It's got nice experience. It has a blend. I think Rex physically is the type of player that you just can't handle. Ed Davender is not only a quality athlete, but he also really understands the system. He understands his role. He has good knowledge for the game. So if I had to take a backcourt for tomorrow's game and say, hey, that'd be the backcourt I'd take of those that I've seen.
Final question, a great choice of shirts there. How did you feel about that thing?
Well, I go through life never buying shirts, And what I do is I always show up in somebody else's colors, and then I know that right away they'll run in and they'll give me a fresh sweatshirt that I can wear for a week. I also like #1 sweatshirts, Therefore, Oklahoma's football and Kentucky's basketball are tops with me right now.
That one looks good on him, doesn't it, Coach?
Two quality guys, and they do a marvelous job with broadcasting, and it was very interesting. Brent came in with an Oklahoma football shirt on, as he mentioned. I told Mr. Kiley, our equipment man, I said, go get a Kentucky shirt for this guy, and he was very pleased, and I'm not sure that isn't the way he gets his wardrobe.
All right, we've got our Big Blue Top 10 coming up next, and we'll talk about the UKIT when we come back. We'll continue here on the Eddie Sutton Show in a moment. Welcome back, and let's check out our Big Blue Top 10 now for this week. And, Coach, I've got to put you up there at #1. Put the Wildcats up in that top spot. Arizona, with a fine team under Lute Olson, undefeated, is now ranked 2nd. And Pittsburgh is also unbeaten. We've got the Pitt in there at #3. Indiana ranked 4th, followed by Syracuse at #5. And let's take a look now at this second 5. North Carolina, Wyoming is undefeated. Duke is also unbeaten, although the Blue Devils did not play over the weekend. Iowa at #9 after losing, and Purdue, with a big victory over the weekend, is in at #10. But there are some others. Look out for Temple, and how about Oklahoma with 152 points in their game with Centenary?
I don't say you can score 152 points, but Billy Tubbs found a way. A lot of teams that you have ranked had to rally yesterday. North Carolina was behind SMU. Pittsburgh had a rally against West Virginia. And I know Lute Olson was very pleased. First time he'd been back to Iowa since he left, and a big win for Arizona over the Hawkeyes.
Just about everybody in the league also winning yesterday, Eddie. I know Tennessee won out on the West Coast, and LSU won a close ball game.
Hit a shot at the buzzer to win. I think the only team that lost in our league was Auburn, who I really believe has a great ball club. They lost in overtime to the University of Illinois, but that was in Champaign. Mississippi bounced back after being destroyed by Arkansas. They beat a good Tulsa ball club yesterday. So, and I think on the West Coast, Tennessee beat Southern Cal. So our league, I think, is certainly taking care of themselves, and they're doing well.
Oh, for the Wildcats, it is the UKIT, and it will be the 35th annual UKIT coming up this Friday night. It will begin the opening round down at Rupp Arena. It'll be North Carolina Charlotte, Coach, going against Middle Tennessee, and then Kentucky takes on the Redskins of Miami of Ohio.
Two good games. You know, I think the first ball game will be outstanding. The Middle Tennessee was picked to win the Ohio Valley Conference along with Austin Peay. And the University of North Carolina Charlotte, Jeff Mullins, who lived here and went on to Duke to become a fine player, and also the NBA. Vic Bubas, the commissioner of their league, told me that he felt like their ball club was as good as any in the conference, and they were picked second right behind the University of Alabama at Birmingham. So we're going to have a very fine tournament. I might add, some great high school basketball will be played at the same time. On Saturday, the Thoroughbred Classic kicks off, 4 games. And I would hope all of our great Wildcat fans will get down there to see that and support that tournament. A lot of exciting basketball coming up this weekend.
All right, we'll be back with a final word in just a moment, so stay with us. We'll continue after this. And the Wildcats look ahead now to the UKIT, but this is also an important week as far as the classroom is concerned because exams are going to be getting underway, Coach.
Well, that's the reason our young men are here at the University of Kentucky, to get their degrees, and that does come first. I let the ball club off today only for the second time since we began practice on the 15th of October. I told them to get up and go to church this morning, get some rest, and do lots of studying, and we'll practice Monday. But practice sessions will not be normal because there'll be, I think, only one day where we'll have the entire ball club there practicing. But we do want them to concentrate on the books, do well in the final exams, and then get ready for the UKIT.
Well, Coach, you've held that #1 ranking for a week now, and you've got the opportunity here to hang on to it for a while. How do the players feel about that?
Well, they're excited, and they're happy for all of our great fans. But as I've said before, rankings are for our fans. They're for the media. We want to be #1 at the end of the season, and it's a lot easier to get there than it is to stay there, as a lot of ball clubs would attest to. I think it's a little easier for us because Kentucky has great tradition, and it seems to us anyway, every time we go out, that we're always #1, whether we're ranked 20th or not even ranked, because everyone really gets after us, and that's because Kentucky has dominated basketball at the collegiate level for so long.
Eddie, you're #1 in the hearts of your fans, and a lot of success against U of L.
Well, I saw Dr. Singletary last evening, and he was very pleased, of course, our former president. And within a span of 8 days, we defeated the defending national champion, Indiana, and the defending national champion of 2 years ago, Louisville. And those are 2 very special games and always will be for our fans. And so our players, that's an early Christmas present for all of them.
All right, Christmas has come a little bit early. Good luck, Coach.
Thank you.
Calvin Kesterson has put together a little musical piece on yesterday's ball game. We're going to close out our program with that. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you next week on the Eddie Sutton Show.
Brent, you are looking live at #1, all right?
So the chess game continues, and the #1 ranking is on the line. Davender with the ball. Put it up to the top. Davender takes it. Won't fall. Tapped up. And good. 1 second to go. Kentucky does it with a second left.
The Eddie Sutton Show with Rob Bromley. Brought to you in part by Ashland Oil, Valvoline Oil Company, Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kentucky, the one you've always trusted for quality health care protection. Coke. Catch the wave, Kentucky. Enjoy Coke. Golden Flake Snack Foods. One taste and you're stuck on Golden Flake. And by GTE.
The Coach Eddie Sutton Show, brought to you by First National Bank of Louisville, where you'll find the UK Visa and MasterCard. And by Hardee's. We're out to win you over.